Thank you so much, Umadhar Garu. That's a lovely review. Yes, the forum is open for questions. Kindly unmute yourselves and be available on your video too, so that we all can see who's asking questions and what are the questions that are coming across, everything. Yes, please. Anybody in for questions or any interaction? Okay. So I have this very interesting observation that when you were talking about the inequality, I understand that one of the limitations from the author is he has not addressed much about the Indian side or the Asian scenario, because China and India, not much into his perhaps analysis. So, what is the basis on which he's talking in terms of geographical limitations, or I would like to know that.
No. He talks about individual countries, especially United States and many countries in Europe and Japan too. And he talks about the global economy. He will have, the same scenario offered for the entire country, all nations in the world. But however, the economy in India and in China, he seemed to say that they are quite different, and especially because the users are many, and in a sense, the economy is a little more robust compared to the sensitivities some of these Western countries seems to have, is his intent. In terms of the industrialists, he quotes about Mittal, for example, from India, Lakshmi Mittal, who seemed to have started Esser company, I forgot. In
ArcelorMittal is the joint venture.
Yeah.
He is there in Luxembourg. I think he's based at Luxembourg, and
I see.
he operates in Europe.
He seemed to have faced certain difficulties in France, and apparently a lot of people claim that it's because of this dark skin. And he says it may be so, but at the same time, the lifestyle of Lakshmi Mittal seemed to really, really throw off a lot of people. He doesn't invest as much. He's supposed to invest in France, and his lifestyle is so very high. He says these are the things that will cause, the sort of a revolutionary ideas amongst the people. So in that sense, he keeps going back to, he doesn't say so much about Marx, but Marxist ideologies are still there. I think living in a capitalistic world, he doesn't want to use the word, I think. But otherwise, the theme running in the back seems to be, what Marx said, capital, the profit of the few individuals, any economy that lives on that relies on the profits of the few individuals will always be very unsustainable, or maybe at least very unstable, and it might create some kind of a problems. Okay.
So interestingly, even in India, a lot of GDP comes from only a few of the high net worth individuals and some of the companies which are there. Yeah. So they say that about 75% or more of GDP goes from all these family-oriented businesses which are there in India. And in fact, there was a study which was kind of downsizing on the mushrooming business schools that were coming up. And where do you want to see all these people who are graduating from these business schools is the question. I'm not talking about the top tier ones, but the ones that are otherwise working, like in terms of it was like a business of business schools kind of a thing. So when we are talking about that, this interesting survey was indicating where are all these students going to go? What would be their average salary like? Because if everybody aspires to be at the CEO or some kind of a level, then things are not really coming in line. It happened a while back, maybe about a decade back, that it was a very interesting and an important research for people to understand where we are and where we are going. So yeah, sure. I mean, I think your book definitely implies into other countries as well. That is the reason why I asked.
So this has a very important significance to India too. I mean, as you just said, a lot of money is going into the hands of very few. When our state seems to, I mean, not to really say, even the political setup also seems to be such that few people are in good capacity, seems to be in a position to amass large assets and large sums of money, creating that difficulty. Maybe our social setup is different, that many people are able to survive, and the social setup is slightly different in some other countries, that once you are low on income, you are completely on the streets. Okay, it may be different. We have some buffer is there that we are able to survive here, but I think we might also end up in the same kind of a situation if we are not cautious.
Yes, anybody, please.
Is it what is wrong with India? Can you tell us,
Sir?
What's wrong with India?
Well, I have to express my personal views, nothing really big written in that. What's wrong in India means maybe this, there is the inequality is there in India too. There's a huge inequality in India too. There are a lot of people who are far above the average level of income, and there are a lot of people who are at a very low level of the spectrum of the economy. That is never good. That is not good. A true society should create an environment, as I would have said, I mean, like Amartya Sen's book, a true society should create a situation where, of course, one who does better will have better, facilities. I agree with that. But still, there is some way you have to minimize that difference. If you don't minimize the difference, definitely it will down the line create conflicts and difficulties. So what's wrong with India means India also has certain, there are some few problems we should see in India too, with some people being extremely rich and some people being extremely poor. There are very, very poor people. Nobody is there to take care of them. How would the state really do something to ensure that the extremes will not be so extreme?
Now, what I meant to say is that, I mean, no other nation is like that.
No, every nation is like that. That's what his point is.
Yeah.
Every nation is like that.
But they are able to pull out well.
No,
I don't think even US is doing well. US is doing very, very bad. When you walk on some of the streets of, LA, it's just very, very terrible to see. People are like in a very, very bad shape. Who will take care of them? Nobody will take care of them. They have to die on the street like that. That's all. Suffering. And who is responsible for this suffering as a whole, if the society cannot recognize that suffering? A tree, a big tree, all leaves, everything will be all good. It's if one part is going away. Actually, I think Khalil Gibran says that the tree, every leaf knows about every other leaf in the tree. That's what he says about a tree. That's how a society should be. We don't seem to be like that. We're completely insensitive to various parts of our body.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, what I was feeling is that it's more economy versus social justice. So, of course, I'm expressing my feelings about this. So, capital, when we talk about here, probably we have confined only to the monetary resources and the people who are all investing. But there's another concept of human capital. So, wherein, in fact, on theory, all these things we have, that in any organization, human capital has to be assigned some value. So we have human resource accounting and all that. But however, when we see practically, we see, as you say, there is a gap. There's a big gap. And that gap is between the rich and the poor. And the country may be rich. It may be standardized as one of the richest countries. But yet, there are people, a segment of people who are very, very downtrodden. So to help them out, as you said, it is a duty of the government. Well, here comes all your policies of the government to come forward and then give them some offers and incentives and all that. And we only have to know to what extent we are, because in India, when you see practically, there are so many incentive schemes for the poor, whatever. But to what extent the definition of the poor, like, this Raitu Bandhu scheme, whatever scheme we have. So when you are trying to define them, I hear that the actual farmer who may not be very poor is given an incentive. Vis-a-vis, there are many other people who are actually really working on the fields who don't get any benefit. So actually, the government, yes, they are to do something probably for their own benefits, but still, maybe the vote bank politics or whatever it is, but still let them do it, but let them identify the right person and provide all the benefits to the right person so that the bridge could be mitigated. And secondly, here the importance of collective bargaining comes, as you say, because an individual cannot much do anything. So because an individual can't much do anything, this collective bargaining need comes, wherein the trade unions have come forward and they're trying to fight out the issues. So we only have to look to the issues of the trade unionism in the correct perspective and try to, when the government, what I say is, they have got to come out with a rightful solutions rather than curbing the demands of the trade unions. So actually, and in fact, when you come to the question of taxation, when it comes, we have a progressive taxation system in most of the countries. So in India, and it so happens that the collecting, the mechanism of work is not being because all the income of the so-called rich people is not being properly accounted. So the actual tax part comes only from the middle class people or the upper middle class people. Lower middle class people anyhow don't come under the slab of taxation. So that way what happens is the rich are rich, they are growing richer day by day. Poor are to some extent are being taken care of by the government. Ultimately, who are taxed are the middle class. So that's what is my reaction. But however, it's a wonderful presentation, Dr. Umadhar Garu, and it's a thought-provoking lecture. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sripapagaru, you pointed out very truly everything. Actually, what I should have mentioned in the beginning, when he talks about capital, he only talks about the wealth and he leaves out the human capital, especially because he wanted to point out the inequality between the wealthy and the individuals who are there. So he leaves out the human capital. Capital for him is only the resources that are available with the wealthy few. As far as the welfare, that's what I said. Welfare economics, really, I don't know whether it will work at all. It's actually not very probably right. It has to be carefully designed. I mean, the welfare economics that is seem to be going now these days in our state and so on, I don't subscribe anything to that at all. Now, on the other hand, what Amartya Sen talks about is about the ensuring a right environment where capabilities of the individuals are actually expressed. That's what we have to create. In the sense, the state has to create an environment where the capabilities of the individuals, if they choose to, and if they work for, will be achieved, will give well-being to the individuals. That's what I actually meant to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful book and thought-provoking, as Prabhagaru has indicated, and a great presentation again coming from Umadhar Garu. So I really like the way he did compare the earlier version of his presentation with Amartya Sen's book about inequalities. I think to him, because his background being mathematics and analysis like that, logic, he seems to have taken a little skewed to the other book than this in his own words. Great. I mean, thank you so much. If there are any more questions, Siddharth Garu, are you here? Can you just say hi? Just unmute yourself.
Hi, Umadhar ji, your presentation was really good. So I really enjoyed it. Being a MBA graduate, so I can actually relate with this. So I want to add actually one perspective to it.
Please.
So yeah, definitely, because last year I was in Japan for 1 full year. So what I learned in Japan is like how to say, like, what do we talk about this like stakeholder capitalism, or like more of socialistic policies. Okay, so they are actually quite good when it looks on the paper, actually Japan is though it is a capitalist based country, but it is among the capitalism, it holds a really good amount of socialism. So everything goes fine only up to certain time. But with the time, actually, these Japanese companies or the Japanese economy is not now able to compete with the global world. So eventually, if you see in 1990s, out of the top 20 companies globally, it was around 10 companies were Japanese. Now you do not find anyone in 2020 from 2010 onwards. So the thing is, it has been overtaken by the Chinese style communist based companies actually. So what is the difference actually? What I noticed it between Chinese economy functioning and the other thing is the concept of like identity. So when the Chinese people work, they actually work for an identity. They call themselves like how to say, like India. If you see, we are a very diverse country. Okay, so but while China is not a diverse, it is composed 90% of homogeneous one population like Han Chinese. So they view the country more into actually how to say, like that the country is theirs and they are for the country. So the nationalism feeling or like the how to say, like more
Patriot.
capital is all inclined towards that actually there. So that's one of the point which I wanted to add.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Siddharth. So it's been some time. I think last to 2021, I guess you
Yes.
joined 2
Yeah, at that
meetings, right?
time I was in Vishakhapatnam. Now I'm in Ayodhya.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So yeah, I got
This
transferred from.
this is an online format. You can join even from Japan if you want to. And we do have people joining from Australia and America and other places. Please do come back if you be
Sure.
nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. So should we move ahead with the second review? Second review being mine. I think I'm just looking also at the time part because we are a little running out of time. Okay. Let me just.
No, please go ahead, Radhika.